us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness unto light, lead us from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. Namaste and good morning, everybody. This morning, we're going to talk about the full moon. You must have seen the not about the solar eclipse, but the title of the talk is like the full moon, and you must be wondering what's like the full moon. We'll discover as we go along. But I was just listening to the song which we had just now. Filled full with Brahman are all the things that we see. Filled full with Brahman are all the things that we see. And we'll see as we go along that that's the key to the talk. It was not arranged with him beforehand that he's going to sing this song. But as we go along, we'll see that's the best description of what we're going to talk about today. Many years ago, about 20 years ago, I was in the high Himalayas in Gangotri, and one day, in a place where monks are given food, I was sitting in an ashram, and next to me, there was another monk. I still remember him, a remarkable character, a very hot-headed monk. There in the cold of the high Himalayas, a very hot-headed monk. And the remarkable thing about him, which I remember, is that his name, he said, I'll tell you first, he said in Hindi, but heavily accented Hindi because he was a Bengali, elderly monk. So he said, Mera naam hai Shitalananda Giri. Now I'll translate. He said, my name is Shitalananda Giri. And Giri is one of the 10 orders of monks, like we are Puri, there is Saraswati, Giri, and so on. The 10 orders of Vedantic monks. But his name was interesting, Shitalananda, which literally means one whose bliss is in coolness. Of course, that takes on an added meaning in America. Now, he was hot-headed, and I thought, with some amusement, his guru must have seen that long ago, decades ago, and given him that name, that your bliss should be in being cool. Now, this subject for this morning's talk is taken from this book, Yoga Vasishta Sara. The English translation is The Nectar of Supreme Knowledge. And in the third verse, in the third verse of the third chapter, we come across this phrase, like the full moon. I'll chant the verse and then we'll look at it. Sarvatita padalambi purnendu shishirashayaha yastisthati sada yogi saeva parameshwaraha. That yogi, that enlightened one, who is like the full moon, established in the transcendent state. Literally what it means is sarvatita, that reality which is beyond time, space and object, who is forever established there, who stays there in that state, is centered in that state. Yas tishtati sada yogi, always centered, no matter what happens in the world, is always centered in that state. He is veritably the Supreme Lord. Saeva parameshwaraha. It's veritably the Supreme Lord. So here you see a comparison with the full moon. The exact word used is Purnendu, means full moon. The enlightened one, that yogi forever established in Brahman, is like the full moon. Shishirashaya, that takes some explanation. Shishira means dewdrops. So like a bowl or a chalice or a plate which is covered with dewdrops. The way the English translation is, whose heart is, like full of dewdrops, that sounds like a cardiac condition. But what it means is cool. And you have to remember, India is a hot country, and it's being cool, a cool place is always preferable. It's not like in New York you're cold and miserable, and anybody who says that being enlightened you become cooler, then you don't want that. But so basically, cool like the dewdrops, cool like the full moon. So often light is used as a metaphor for enlightenment, even the word enlightenment, I heard a teacher play on the English word enlightenment. There are two sides of it. One is enlightenment, light in the sense of realizing something. I'm enlightened about it. I get it. And the result of enlightenment is enlightenment. You feel lighter. The burden of the world is taken off from our shoulders. You see yourself as lighter. It's like a heavy burden. If you see a man with a heavy burden, you feel how much weight there must be. You feel sympathetic. But if you see that it's on a movie screen or in a picture, how much weight is that page, the page on which the picture is made, how much weight is the page carrying? Nothing. How much weight is the movie screen carrying? Nothing. Once you realize the nature of what seems to be a burden, it's become lighter. So enlightenment in both ways. And the metaphor of light is often used for spiritual realization. So sun, the moon. For example, Sri Ramakrishna can be compared to the blazing sun of enlightenment, realization. The Holy Mother can be compared to the full moon. I have read where Swami Vivekananda and Swami Brahmananda have been compared in that way. Swami Vivekananda's personality like the blazing sun and Swami Brahmananda like the full moon. Sri Ramakrishna said this about Sri Chaitanya, that his knowledge was like the blazing sun, and his love, his devotion, his prema was like the full moon. So this metaphor of full moon is often used, like the full moon. Here it is used to indicate the yogi, the enlightened one, and how serene the enlightened one is in the midst of life. So how can we get that serenity? This is something called holy envy. We must first feel that envy for the enlightened one, that I want some of that, what you have got. So how can I be peaceful, serene, in the midst of difficulties and challenges, and not running away from the challenges, facing the challenges in my own life, in the community life, in society, but serene and peaceful within, like the full moon in the midst of life. How does this text itself describe it? What's the secret? He says, established in that transcendent state, sarvatita pada, the support. So for the support for the physical body is this floor or this earth. Support for the mind is what the mind is thinking about, what we are holding on to in life. For this person, the enlightened one, the support is not this world, nor anything in this world or anybody in this world, no achievement, no person, no fond memories, no expectations of the future. These are not the support for the enlightened one. For the enlightened one, the support is Brahman. If he's a jnani, it will be Brahman, our real nature. If he's a devotee, lover of God, then God alone, my beloved Lord alone is the support. So support is something transcendent, sarvatita, beyond time, space and causation, beyond this material world, a spiritual support. What is that support and how do we get it? How do we become established in it? The previous verse, the second verse of the third chapter, speaks about it. And we'll primarily dwell on that verse. So what are we trying to do? Become like the full moon. The second verse says, Chidakaram idam sarvam jagadityeva bhavayet sthita ityupashantastha sabrahma kavacha sukhi. This person, this enlightened one, is Brahma Kavacha, has put on the armor of Brahman. Kavacha literally means an amulet. Sometimes they put an amulet here. So in ancient times, there was, or even in modern India, there are people who believe that some amulets have magical powers. If you put that on, you'll be protected. And sometimes warriors in the past, you would put on an amulet thinking, hoping, praying that it would protect them against arrows and swords and so on. So that's the example, the metaphor used here. There is this amulet, or you can call it an armor. You must be armored against the kicks and blows, the arrows of this world, what the world throws at us. So that what is the arrow, the best arrow? Is it, what do you think protects us against suffering, against the world? Where do we find our security? Some people find it in physical health, strength. Some find it in wealth. Some find it in connections. I know such and such powerful people. Notice where we run the moment we are threatened, whether it's physical illness, whether it is some kind of anxiety in the world. Where do we run? Do we run to God, or do we, where do we run? What do we catch hold of? Or whom or what do we catch hold of? One sadhu put it this way: Kaun bachayega aapko? Who's going to save you? Raja bachayenge? Will the king save you? That means, your political connections. I know someone in the mayor's office. So is that going to save you? Seth ji bachayenge aapko? Will the rich man, will the million? I know such millionaires and billionaires. Are they going to save you? Who's going to come to your rescue? Or Pandit bachayega aapko? Will the scholarly man? I know this person who has got multiple PhDs. He will definitely show me a way out of my troubles. Who's going to save us? Who's going to save us? And the conclusion in spiritual life, in all paths of spiritual life, is nothing in this world can ultimately save us. We must hold on to something transcendent, something that's beyond this material world. Call it God or our real nature, the Atman, Brahman, whatever it is. Here it is called Brahman, the ultimate reality. So you must armor yourself, catch hold of Brahman. You must armor yourself in that ultimate reality. You must position yourself. He says in the next verse, Padalambi, who takes the support, whose position. Where are we standing? Are we standing in the body? Standing means psychologically. Standing in the body, then old age will affect us. Then disease will affect us. Starvation will affect us. Every kind of physical trouble heat and cold will affect us. Are we standing in the mind? Then desire and frustration and anxiety and unhappiness, these will sweep over us. That's the mind. Or are we taking our stand in the Atman, which is the witness and the ground of the body-mind? Then none of these will affect us. They'll come, but they won't affect us. So where are we taking our stand? What are we identifying ourselves with? If you see the lives of these great ones, I was just thinking, Sri Ramakrishna, his stand was, I'm the child of the Divine Mother. And whatever happens in life, I go straight to the Divine Mother, to Kali. And that's my support in life. Not rich people, not even other spiritual people. No, my support is the Lord. In small matters and big matters, good and bad, I resort to the Divine Mother. Swami Vivekananda, such a dramatic and difficult and life full of tremendous challenges, but maintained a deep serenity. Can you close the door? Yeah. Deep serenity throughout. In small matters also. One day, he was going to give a talk, Vivekananda, here in America, and it was getting late. His guide or the person who was arranging it, an American lady, said, Swami, you're going to be late. And Swami Vivekananda, in his usual grand manner, said, Madam, you live in time, but I live in eternity. Of course, he knew nothing was going to happen until he went there, so he could be relaxed about it. But most often I think about Sri Sharada Devi, the Holy Mother. See, Sri Ramakrishna's life was an extraordinary life, full of samadhi and mystic trances and ecstasy. And he was free to be entirely devoted to God. He was entirely devoted to God. He would say in Bengali, "I'm Mairi bolchi, ami Ishwar chhara kichu jani na." I'm telling you on the name of the Mother. I swear in the name of God that I do not know anything except God. And his life was designed in that way because he was the priest of a temple. He was supposed to be all about the deity in the temple. So he was a God-intoxicated life. Swami Vivekananda's life was also extraordinary. Whether he is wandering throughout the length and breadth of India, meditating in the Himalayas, or coming here to the United States and teaching Vedanta, representing Hinduism, and as an emissary of Hinduism to the West, and building a bridge between the East and the West, or back in India, rousing his countrymen to a sense of their own greatness and dignity and eventual freedom from colonial rule and all of that. A tremendous, extraordinary life, whose effects and significance we are beginning to unpack even now, more than 100 years after him. But not so Sri Sharada Devi's life. It was extraordinary internally, but externally it was most ordinary. And that's why it's most relevant to us. How many of us get to or could live a life even remotely close to Sri Ramakrishna's life? A life of a super mystic. How many of us would ever get could ever be something like Vivekananda? We can't even imagine. I don't even know whether we would want to be. These are extremely difficult lives. On the other hand, all of us, whether we want it or not, have the life that Sri Sharada Devi had. She lived longer than both of them, and she had tremendous number of responsibilities, limitations imposed by society on her, whether in her little village home in a corner of Bengal or in the metropolis of Calcutta in the ashram. So there were devotees, there were monks looking for guidance, there were mentally unwell relatives to look after, there were materialistic relatives who would be, who were not interested in her spiritual side, who were wanted, whatever money or things they could get out of her, all kinds of people. Difficult things. And she managed with grace, with a smile, with coolness throughout. She would say, my child, I do not know what sorrow is. He has established a picture of bliss in my heart. Dukkho ki jani ne baba. Tini amar hridoy anonder ghot boshiye gechen. He has established a picture of bliss. She would give all credit to Sri Ramakrishna. But how do we find that picture of bliss in our hearts? So this armor of Brahman, we must put on this armor of Brahman in order to defend ourselves against the arrows. And nowadays not arrows, nowadays missiles and drones. So you have to defend yourself against what the world throws at you. And the particular approach that is given here in this book, Chidakaram idam sarvam jagadityeva bhaved, one particular approach. Continuously meditate upon, see that this world is Chidakaram idam sarvam. It is of the nature of consciousness itself. Brahman itself, whoever, whatever we are dealing with, is none other than divinity as pure consciousness, in that sense, pure consciousness. Vivekananda, that's what we are searching for. We are all searching for, call it God realization, self-realization. Vivekananda says, it's an open secret. What we are looking for is always there with us. But we are missing it. He said, you run away to a mountain cave to meditate and die there to become enlightened. And there are people who do that even now. And I have seen it. Even now there are so many people. I remember I did that once. Even the monastery was not enough for me, so I had to stay in an Himalayan, not a cave literally, but in a hut, and to beg for my food and stay there and meditate and study day and night. And it was there, in a place called Uttarkashi, there where I was reading this part of what Swami Vivekananda says, right there. I was doing literally that. So you can imagine, when I was reading that, I sat up one afternoon, after the afternoon bhiksha, that is the alms or food. Then in the ashram, I was lying down on a cot and reading Vivekananda. He says, he in the Himalayas, having run away to meditate there, not to die, at least not right away. Vivekananda says, he who runs away to die, meditate and die in a Himalayan cave has missed the way. And I sat up. And the next line is, he who plunges headlong into the luxuries and foolishnesses of the world has missed the way. Now that's an interesting contradiction. Either you run away from all of this, or you stay with all of this. What else is there? If both have missed the way, then what is the way? In the next sentence, he says, dramatically, The way is to divinize life itself. Wherever you are, whomever you are with, whatever you are doing, is to find God there. God is everywhere. Call it God, Brahman, whatever your choice of theology, of terminology. That ultimate reality is present everywhere. Vivekananda says there is only one God, and that God is the most, coins the term, knownest of the known, he says. I'm quoting him directly. That God is the most knownest of the known. Then what do you mean? Where? He is all that we see. By extension, all that we hear, smell, taste, touch, all that we think about, all that we love, hate, enjoy, seek, all of that right now is that reality. But we don't see it. So what hides it from us is this veil of ignorance, and what we are doing here is trying to penetrate through that veil of ignorance. Vedanta is just that. Vedanta is just that. This knowledge which allows us to penetrate through this veil, which is hiding the truth, the open secret, something that you can see with open eyes right now. Vivekananda goes on to say, he is all that we ever see. And then very interestingly he says, what do you mean all that we ever see? What is that all? He switches like a whiplash from the external world back to ourselves. We are talking about all that we see is God. We are confused. Oh, so where is this God? I'm not seeing God. I'm just seeing people and everything. And he says, next step. No one can deny the I am. Not even animals. And all of us have the sense of the self. So he's pointing back to you. It's a kind of a whiplash. It's as if pointing out there, this is all God, and suddenly back to you. No one can deny that. And then the resolution in the next sentence, I'm literally quoting Vivekananda. Next sentence, Vivekananda says, all that we experience is verily a projection of the self. Verily a projection of the self. And he says, this is the simplest of truths. Teach it to children, they can understand it. All right. In another sense, what we are going to do is unpack what Vivekananda has said. So, there is a truth, and it's all around us, and we don't see it because we don't recognize it. And somehow it is us. It's pointing back at us. Somehow what we truly are is what all this truly is. One way of understanding Vedanta is, somebody asked, what's your idea of God? And I was thinking, what would I say? I would, if you said it in one word, my answer would be reality. Reality. If you ask after that, could you unpack it a little more? What do you mean reality? I mean the reality about myself and the reality about all this. After all, in our lives, what else do we have? Subject and object. You are there and your world is there. Vedanta says the reality about yourself, what you truly are, and the reality of the world, they're the same reality. And that is God, that is Brahman. That's the basic meaning of Tattvamasi. You are that. There is a reality of this entire world. That's what the theistic religions call God. And there is a reality about ourselves, what Vedanta calls or Sankhya calls the self. And Advaita Vedanta, it says both are the same reality. It's the self alone, your real nature is projected out there as the object. The subject's real nature is projected out there as the object. That's the way to grasp it. And you're looking interested but mystified. What's he going on and on about? Let's make it a little more real. Looking for reality. Now, our objection will be, wait a minute, you're going too fast. You're saying this world is somehow God. Yes, but it is not. It's just people and trees and sky and earth and cars and buildings and body. That's what it is. How is this God? Now, let's take up the world and see what is meant. He says, Chidakaram idam sarvam. Contemplate on all of this, whatever you experience, as consciousness, as awareness itself. Those who attended the last talk by Greg Good on the direct path, this is exactly what he was on about. Take up any object. Take up any object. I will run through this maybe a couple of times to see what is being pointed out here. How is everything consciousness? So take up any object in this world, say a flower. Now, our first reaction to this is, All right, here I am, this person, and there's a flower outside quite independent of me separately, and now I am seeing it. Separate flower, I come along and I see it. That's the physical description of this world. There's an external independent world, and I am a part of this world. It's a physical body, and somehow I am a mind and a sentient being in this body. That part is not very clear to me, but it's obvious that I am here. This much is a common sense description of the world, and that's where we start. If you make it sophisticated philosophically, it's called materialism. And it's a physical, material world. And we as sentient beings sort of sit uneasily with it. What are we and how are we related to this material world? That's the mystery. That's what modern science is knocking its head against. The hard problem of consciousness and so on. That's what's going on. Now, Vedanta will say, all right, you are experiencing a flower. And there's a flower there. Good. Is it true to say that there is a flower? Follow your own experience closely. Is it true to say that there is a flower, or is it more true to say that I am seeing a flower? What would you say? You would say, yeah, that's a more complete description. I am seeing. Right now what's going on? Flower. But no, it's not exactly flower. I am seeing a flower. Now follow this carefully. What Greg Good did last time is very short. And there's a reason why it's called a direct path. It gets to this position directly. So we're going to start now. So there's a flower, but the second step is, I am seeing the flower. This flower is part of the seeing. Now ask yourself a question. Right now, as far as our experience of this flower goes, is it that this flower is appearing to me in what I call seeing, or is it that, do I have any evidence there is a flower, and now I come along with my seeing and I contact it? No. Rather, our experience is, this flower arises in my seeing. Everything else, whatever I see, arises in my seeing. I have no evidence for anything outside of my conscious experience. Everything I have evidence for, and it's kind of tautological, it's a bit of a trick, because everything I have evidence for, the evidence is provided by consciousness. You see, science, religion, art, happiness, suffering, peace, war, all of it is possible in our conscious experience only. That's all. All that we have. Even the unconscious, very interesting. Somebody would say, just a minute, there is a whole world outside your consciousness. Right now, we are sitting here, we are seeing this is appearing in my consciousness. But what about outside this room? What about Central Park? What about the rest of Manhattan, the Earth and the solar system and the galaxy? Not only that, right here, what about the electrons and the protons, which you don't see, but they're right here, right now. But that's also, follow this, that's also part of our consciousness. It's only in our, how so? Only in our consciousness that we are saying there is an unknown, unseen world outside. Only in our consciousness we are saying there are tiny electrons and protons. After all, our entire operation, our entire knowledge and what we know and what we do not know is in consciousness. No? Yes. Some are saying yes, some are looking mystified. No, it's simple. But it's also difficult, because of its tremendous simplicity, it's difficult to grasp. You cannot step outside consciousness. Let me put it in another way. I really like this. Somebody was saying that consciousness is, I am consciousness and I'm all pervasive. And this is actually, it happened. It was in Hindi. And one of the monks at the back of the hall said, just a minute. I am here and you are there. How am I all pervasive? I'm not even pervasive in this room. I'm right here. I'm not there. You are there. I am here. Space, So how am I all pervasive? मैं यहाँ हूँ, वहाँ नहीं हूँ. सर्वव्यापी कैसे हुआ? I am here and not there. How am I all pervasive? And then the answer is equally direct and incisive. The answer from the teacher was, but here and there, are they not both in me? In Hindi, यहाँ और वहाँ, क्या दोनों ही आप में नहीं है? What does it mean? Here, I am here. and you are there. Both of them are appearing in me, the consciousness. If I take a stand in me, the body, that's very clear. I am here, I am not there. But in me, the awareness, the body is here and that body is there. And an unknown world is out there. All of it is in consciousness. I think we are beginning to get the idea. A dream example is very useful here. In the dream, suppose you are walking in Central Park in the dream, and you see a lake in front, and you see the bow bridge across the lake, and you see the sky far away, and the east side, you can see the buildings in the distance, and you say, I am here, and the bridge is there, and the east side is there. But when we wake up from the dream, remember it was a dream, when we wake up from the dream, here and there and the east side, all of it was where? We will wake up into this waking world and say it was in me, the dreamer. Here and there, the entirety of space in the dream was in me, the dreamer. I felt I was located in part of the space, but the entirety of space was in me, the dreamer. Now the claim is right now, like that, in our experience of the world, time and space and flower, they're all in this experience. This experience is what I'm calling seeing. I'm seeing the flower. The flower is in the seeing. There is no evidence of a flower outside the seeing. In the seeing arises an experience of a flower. And so what about the flowers which are not seeing? Yes, in the seeing arises the experiences of flowers not seen at present. Possibly I can see them later. And the possibility of many things which I will not see. But all of them are in my experience as the known and the unknown. Okay, so the flower arises in seeing. Third step, and that's the last, I promise you. That's why it's called the direct path. This seeing is nothing other than awareness. The seeing is nothing other than awareness. What does it mean? Right now with open eyes, you're seeing all this. Are you aware? Do you exist? You're aware. You exist. Yes. Now we close our eyes. You're not seeing anything. Am I still aware? Do I still exist? Yes. Now I open my eyes again. This seeing is in that awareness. See, both seeing and non-seeing are in awareness. Reverse it. Supposing that awareness itself were not there. What would be there then? Nothing. No seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, no world, no known, no unknown, no science, no religion, no Vedanta, nothing, no self. But I, the awareness, in me appears the seeing, in me disappears the seeing if I close my eyes or I fall asleep or I see something else. So all experiences arise in me, fall and disappear in me. What is that me? It's awareness. All right. Objects, flower, let me just stick to the flower example. Flower is nothing but seeing. Seeing is nothing but awareness. Therefore, all things are awareness. Chidakaram idam sarvam jagadityeva bhavayet. Of the form of consciousness or awareness is all of this. Contemplate on the world experience in this way. It's a practice. Contemplate on the world experience in this way. When we are experiencing the world, contemplate in this way. It is arising in consciousness, in awareness. What is arising? The person that I'm seeing, the body that I'm experiencing, the thoughts that are arising, whatever I'm hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, arising in awareness. Whatever is yet unknown to me, beyond the range of my senses, arising as the unknown in awareness. And then all of it disappears, I fall asleep, dreams arising in awareness. And deep sleep. Nothing is arising in awareness. The blankness is presented in awareness. No subject, no object. That also is awareness. See, awareness is here not the mind. It's not thinking. It's not remembering. It's not even the sense of the ego. We are not talking about that. We are talking about something deeper. The ground of the ego, ground of the mind, ground of the presence and absence of the ego, ground of the presence and absence of thinking. the ground of the presence and absence of sensing. That awareness I am. Not only I am, that's pretty clear. That I am awareness is pretty clear. But that everything here is nothing but that awareness. It is awareness appearing to itself as its own object. Now listen to Vivekananda again. There is only one God, and it is the knownest of the known. What is the knownest of the known? It is that awareness, that light of awareness, you, our real nature. Katha Upanishad, Mundaka Upanishad says, both of these Upanishads have this beautiful mantra, that light, that shining, everything else shines. By its light, everything here is illumined. You shining, everything else shines. By your light, everything here is illumined. Tameva bhantam anubhati sarvam, tasya bhasa sarvamidam vibhati. So that light I am. And the entire world is nothing but that light. It's the shining of that light. What is this universe? It's you shining forth. Just like a dream. Whatever is in the dream, whoever is in the dream, whatever happens in the dream, whether you like it or dislike it, all of it is you shining forth. Your mind. Our mind is what the dream is. It's presented itself as the dream. And then collects it back into itself in deep sleep. It's still the mind. Similarly, the mind also is nothing but awareness. That's what we are saying. We are not saying it's just the mind, this world. That would be idealism. We're going deeper than that. It is awareness itself. Chidakaram idam sarvam jagad ityeva bhavayet. Notice, for this you must be experiencing the world, for this practice. You can't stop thinking and sit in samadhi. You can do that, but also with eyes open, especially with eyes open and engaging with the world. And indeed, acting in the world. In the Bhagavad Gita we say, Brahmarpanam Brahmahavi, Brahmagno Brahmanahutam, Brahmaivatena Gantavyam, Brahma Karma Samadhina. Now don't feel hungry. We always chant it before food. But it's not something to do with food basically. What it means is, all activities are pure consciousness, are Brahman itself, being itself, presence itself. It is the paradigm is of a Vedic fire sacrifice, where a fire is lit and priests offer ghee into the fire. So arpanam, by the ladle with which offerings are put in the fire. Agni, the fire into which offerings are put. And that's Brahman, that's pure consciousness. The one who offers, the priest, that is pure consciousness. The action of offering, that's pure consciousness. The one who sees Brahman in all activities in this way attains Brahman. Attains Brahman means sees what is very obviously present all the time. Chidakaram idam sarvam jagadityeva bhavayet. Think in this way, contemplate in this way. Whenever the world is present. When is the world present? All the time. As long as the world is present, this practice can go on. When people are present, when activities are going on, when you are relaxing, when you are very busy, say driving on a busy road, don't do this. It's all pure consciousness. Sthita iti upashantastha. Make an effort to remain centered in this. If you want a practice, this is the final and the greatest practice. Why should it need a practice if this is the reality? That's right, it shouldn't need a practice. But as long as we have the complaint, I get it, but I slip away from it, then practice. I get it, but I get hurt by the world, then practice. At one point you will begin to see, it's all right, it's effortless, it does not require practice at all. Even the fact that it requires practice is a kind of a remnant of delusion in our minds. Why should reality require any practice? Right now, for example, you are sitting there. You are sitting there in that chair. What kind of practice is required to sit there in the chair right now? What practice should you start now to sit there right there in that chair? Nothing. In fact, if you start doing anything, you'll go away from the chair. You sit, you don't have to do anything at all. Similarly, to remain centered in Brahman, we don't have to do anything at all. But it's the mind which plays the trick that I have slipped away from it. Now I have become centered in it again. What he is pointing out is that when you have slipped away from it, who or what testifies to the fact that you have slipped away from it? Brahman, pure consciousness. And when you feel you're centered in pure consciousness, what testifies, what reveals the fact that you're centered in pure consciousness? Pure consciousness. Was pure consciousness slipping away from pure consciousness? No. At no point. It's our residual attachment with the mind which makes us feel we have slipped away from it. See how it works. This is not just theory. It's not just abstract stuff. I was reading Swami Shivananda just this morning. He was the second president of our order, Mahapurush Maharaj, enlightened being, extraordinary person. So in his old age, afflicted with many diseases, and the body was slowing down, afflictions, asthma and other things. 2 examples. Once he had gone to Deoghar Ramakrishna Mission. That's the monastery sort of close to me because that's where I became a monk. I joined. It's in the eastern part of India in a state called Jharkhand or Bihar. It used to be Bihar, now it's called Jharkhand. Very beautiful ashrama. Anyway, it was established by Swami, or it was formally inaugurated by Swami Shivananda. When he had gone to do that, 1922, I think. So he was in that ashram and he caught a slight chill or a cold there. And combined with asthma and old age, he was saying that last night I couldn't sleep, and I felt I was suffocating, even sitting up, lying down, nothing seemed to help. And at last it felt as if the life would go out of this body. So what else to do? I sat in meditation. That's what we would not do, but anyway. He sat in meditation, and I went deep within and to the stillness within and became absorbed there for a long time. And when I came back, all the struggles, the problems in the body, they had subsided. Now one of the monks asked, what was that? So where did you become still? And he said, the Atman. That was the Atman. Another time, in Banaras, he had gone to Banaras, and again he was feeling unwell in Varanasi. And at night next day he said, he was very calm and peaceful. Monks asked him, but last night you suffered a lot. And he said, last night I was suffering and I sat in meditation and I had this vision. See, there are 2 different kinds of experiences. One is, he said, I'm centered in the stillness within the Atman. Then this one he's saying, I had a vision of Vishwanath, Lord Vishwanath, Shiva. He stood in front of me and immediately all the suffering in the body drained away. I was filled with an otherworldly bliss. And then he says the figure of Vishwanath was replaced by Sri Ramakrishna. He later said that in our time it is Sri Ramakrishna who is the giver of spiritual knowledge. On another occasion, he said, last night Baba Vishwanath came and separated the 2. He didn't explain. Separated the 2. That means I as pure consciousness and this body-mind as appearance. Sa Brahma Kavacha Sukhi. That one is armored in Brahman and therefore happy. You're like the full moon. What happens when you're like the full moon? Bhagavad Gita says, Sri Krishna was asked by Arjuna, how does the enlightened one face the ups and downs of this world? And Sri Krishna says, Dukkheshu anudvigna mana, sukheshu vigatas priya, vitaraga bhaya krodha sthitadhi muniruchyate. Unperturbed in the midst of sorrows and not hankering for pleasures, transcending attraction and repulsion, beyond fear and anger. The wisdom of this Muni. Muni literally means the silent one. Maunam, see there are 2 meanings. Maunam means from silence comes Muni. And Muni also comes Mananat, those who contemplate on the truth. So the teaching here is contemplate on the fact that the world is nothing other than pure consciousness. So that's one meaning of Muni. That's a lower meaning. The higher meaning will be silence. So such a one, the silent sage, that one's wisdom is firmly set. Now look, Dukkheshu anudvigna mana sukheshu vigatas priya, unperturbed in the midst of sorrow and not hankering after pleasures. We will say that, pleasures I'll deal with, no problem. I don't have a complaint about that. But tell me a little more about how do you face sorrows? When you are armored in Brahman, when you're armored in Brahman, how do you face sorrows? That's my problem. problems in the world, when people are nasty to me, when things don't go the way I want them to, how do I face that from this perspective, from this being centered in awareness? Let's just dwell on that, and then I will bring things to a close. Dwell on how do we tackle problems from this perspective of I am awareness itself, or the world is nothing but arising in awareness. First, let's note, according to Krishna, according to the Yoga Vasishta, according to every spiritual text, whether Vedantic or non-Vedantic, even when you are enlightened, you are spiritually perfect, or if there are religious traditions which do not use the language of enlightenment, and they use the language of becoming a saint, even when you are a saint, your troubles will not cease. That's interesting. Not perturbed by sorrows means, first of all, so sorrows will keep coming when I'm enlightened? Yes, they will. Karma, our past karma, will keep giving results. As long as there is a body, we will have experiences. So whether you're a saint or a bodhisattva or a jivan mukta, whatever term you use, sthita prajna, in the one of stabilized wisdom, muni, the silent one, enlightened one, whatever it is, externally problems will come. Old age will come, disease will come, death will come, financial instability, political, social problems, difficult people, all of these will come in our lives. But we must think about the nature of this sorrow. And here the Buddha can help us. He says, what spirituality can do and what it cannot do. It's very clear. We must be very clear and make a distinction of the two. And he gives the example of being hit by 2 arrows, the man who was hit by 2 arrows. The first arrow is what the world throws at us. And that is old age, disease, death, difficult people, all kinds of things. Heat, cold. And the second arrow is our reaction to it. And the Buddha says most of our suffering is our reaction to the first arrow. First arrow is not all of our suffering, it's only a fraction of our suffering. And this I saw, very interestingly, many years ago, there was a conference on pain, doctor's conference. So most of the sessions were about this pill or that pill and this kind of medicine, pain relieving. But there was one session on talk therapies, on counseling for pain and chronic pain. So many people suffer from some kind of ache, some kind of pain, some kind of recurrent or continuous pain, and it has to be managed. Often it cannot be totally overcome. It has to be managed. And there, the doctor who was presenting it, he drew these 3 circles. He said, the smallest circle inside is the actual physical pain which we feel. And he says that's just 20% of our suffering. And that was the figure he gave. The larger circle outside is our reaction to that pain. It's going to hurt. Oh, this is so awful. Why must I suffer this? Oh, here we go again. So that kind of thing. And the largest circle is the social problems, society, career, all the problems set up by my own internal suffering, whatever the suffering is. So he says 80% of our suffering is that, and the actual physical pain you feel at that particular moment is 20% only. And then he said, this is the hidden scandal of all our medicine, is that all the medicines that we give for relieving pain are meant for that 20%. There also it doesn't work too well, and it creates, what is guaranteed is to create side effects. Side effects. So the pills that we will give to the patients who complain of pain, that will address the actual physical pain, the 20% of it, and it's not guaranteed to cure that. And it will create side effects also. Whereas the others, they will continue. Even when there is even little bit of physical pain, we get used to it. So we keep reacting that way. So 80% of our pain is not addressed directly by the medicine. And that can be addressed by psychological methods. That's what the doctor said. And it's true. Buddha says most of our pain is our reaction to the world, reaction to our physical pain, reaction to other people, reaction to things happening in the world, in our lives. And that's our real suffering. And he says spirituality can address that one, that second one, not the first one. So your armor the armor of Brahman works against the second, our reaction. Dukkha will keep coming. The problems of the world will keep coming. But you can armor yourself. Brahma kavacha sukhi. You can be happy in the armor of Brahman. They'll bounce off you. The arrows thrown by the world. A quick analysis of pain from a Vedantic perspective. And then it will help us to deal with it. Of pain, of suffering. Physical suffering, emotional suffering, whatever, anxiety, fear, whatever, all of that. Keep in mind the two arrows. The first one will not cease, but the second one is the important one, and we can deal with it, and we should be ready to deal with it. So the three levels of analysis which we will do, or three kinds of analysis. One is the cause of pain. Let's look at it from a Vedantic perspective, the cause of pain. The second one is the very nature of pain. What is it? What's it made of? What's it made of? Second one. Third is from the perspective of spiritual practice. And all very quickly. The Sanskrit terms for these are karana drishti, a perspective from causality, what causes pain. Vastu drishti, a perspective from the of reality, what's it really, pain. And sadhana drishti, a perspective from practice. Okay. Karana drishti, a very traditional way of looking at suffering in Vedanta, in Indian spirituality, is it's caused by three things: adi daivika, adi bhautika, adhyatmika. So, three kinds of causes for all our troubles. One is natural causes. So, that's called adi daivika. Causes, suffering caused by weather or earthquake. We had earthquake. Not much. Very little compared to, so people from California would have rolled their eyes at the way people here reacted. It was a baby earthquake. And the way we reacted here, somebody sent me a circular from NYU saying that if you're feeling scared, 24/7 our counseling center is open. If you feel nervous about it, we can talk to you about it. So that is natural causes. And then adi bhautika, from other living beings. The traditional example is snakes and tigers. We don't face too many snakes and tigers in Manhattan. But let's say, rats. Yes, rats. Just the day before yesterday, there was a news item. How to deal with the rats of New York City without brutality. You have to be kind and yet to take care of the pests. So, rats or other human beings. Yeah. So, the difficult neighbor, the boss, the difficult roommate, whoever it is, people in the family. So, all kinds of problems you have to deal with. You can't escape. But you can escape. You be a monk. Yes, you can be a monk, but in the monastery, there are tough seniors to deal with. There are troublesome, co-monks, other monks of your seniority to deal with. So it's not. You cannot escape from other beings. And then finally, adhyatmika, from one's own body-mind. So illnesses, physical, mental, all of this. So three kinds of causes. Then, and all of these, why are they coming to us, particularly me? Because of my past karma. So this is one way of understanding the causality of sorrow. Deeper. Second level of understanding causality of sorrow is, it's called dukkhatmika vritti. All sorrow, to be sorrow, has to enter our minds. It's only when we take cognizance of it. You know, the classic story of the man who came home happily. His son had died, but he didn't know about it. He was happy until he knew about it. Then he fainted from grief. So that, see, once it enters our mind, without entering our mind, no sorrow is sorrow. Even physical sorrow, if you don't feel it, that's the way why sedatives are given, anesthetics are given. You don't feel it, then it's not a sorrow. So when it enters our mind, that is the cause of sorrow. Vritti means movement of the mind. Dukkhatmika vritti means movement of the mind in the form of sorrow. It's awful. It hurts. Ouch. That is sorrow. All sorrow has to come there finally. And what we take away from it is, in that case, a change in the mind can change the way we experience life. That beautiful saying, I've quoted it so many times. Milton, the mind in its own place can make a heaven of hell and a hell of heaven. Our minds, right now, our circumstances might be very difficult, but there are so many inspiring stories of people who have risen from very difficult circumstances because their minds were focused on the positive. So in the mind, the suffering was not there. Or a hell of heaven. We have heard so many stories of children coming from privileged backgrounds and families and turning their lives upside down, maybe addictions or whatever it is. And ruining all sorts of born with the silver spoon in the mouth and then so can turn a heaven into hell. The mind in its own place. So dukkhatmika vritti. What are we entertaining in our minds? And here a little bit of input from yoga and from modern positive psychology. Mihai Csikszentmihalyi in his book Flow. He says one crucial thing to understand about the mind is its very limited cognitive bandwidth. We can, to put it very simply, we can attend to only one thing at a time. And that's great, because we have a choice over the next thing we can attend to. What am I going to think about? I can choose. And the moment you choose what you're going to think about, you will immediately determine how you will feel. Shall I think about the positive, the good, the pleasant, the interesting, the edifying, the sublimating, the sublime? Or will I think about the awful, the threatening, the horrible? Deal with it, but keep your mind on the good. I read this, Winifred Gallagher, she writes in this book, Wrapped, that about a cancer patient whose life was turned upside down because of the chemotherapy and the anxiety and the bills and all of that. And until she said, I can't take it anymore. I can't live in this way. So I'll just concentrate on the good part of my life. She was a writer. So focus on that. And then she says, when I made a determined effort to focus on the positive and the good in my life, after some time when I could do it, my life after cancer was actually better than my pre-cancer life. Because she had taken charge of the mind. What enters the mind? I will not allow my mind to dwell on these things. And it takes effort. Why? Because the mind has a default setting. If we do not attend to the mind, it will immediately go to what seems threatening, what seems worrying, what seems unpleasant, and stay there and chew on that and make our lives hellish. So dukkhatmika vritti. I often quote a monk who said, very beautifully put it, we think my mind is troubled because of samsara. But the fact is, samsara is because my mind is troubled. In Hindi, it's even more beautiful. He says, हम सोचते हैं संसार के चलते मन अशांत है, लेकिन असली बात है कि अशांति के लिए संसार है. Then he adds, शांत मन में भला संसार कौन देखा है? Who has ever seen samsara in a serene mind? When your mind is like the full moon, full of dewdrops, where is samsara there? The mind in its own place can make a heaven of hell and a hell of heaven, and use the crucial insight into the mind that it has limited bandwidth and we have a choice of what to put there. Because I can't control my mind, that's the problem. All right, but we can control our mind the next moment. Right now I can decide, take a decision, I shall think of my mantra. And yes, I am thinking of my mantra. Yes, next moment my mind might wander. I again have, luckily, that power of choice is unlimited. Every moment we have a new decision to make. We don't think about it. That's why by default our mind goes to habitual patterns of thinking and feeling. But every moment we have the freedom. And we exercise that freedom every moment. Why we feel defeated by the mind is, I am going to think about God. I might think about 1 second, but the rest of the next 1 hour I can't think about God. Well, make the decision for second to second. The moment you think the mind is troublesome, decide what you will allow the mind to dwell on and what you will not. The next moment. That all of us can do, all the time. We have that freedom. The tremendous subjective freedom we have internally. So that's the second takeaway from the second level of causality of sorrow. Don't forget the big picture. We are investigating what causes sorrow. The second level is mind. Dukkhatmika vritti. The sorrow, the mind takes the form of sorrow. Deeper analysis. So right now, notice, we have moved from the first arrow to the second arrow. The external cause, natural causes, sorrow given by other beings, and sorrow given my own body. That's first arrow in the Buddha's terminology. But the moment I say my mind dwelling on it, making a hell out of heaven, that's the second arrow already. We have to deal with it at that level. And then the third, even deeper analysis of the causality of sorrow is abhimana, dukkha abhimana. It is my sorrow. As long as I am identified with the ego, which we automatically by default are, I, this person right here. But the ego is a part of the mind. And the mind dwells on so many things, including miserable things also. And the ego will automatically be associated with whatever. There's a movement of anger in the mind. And what's our natural reaction? I am mad at you. We don't say, I, the pure consciousness, illuminate a movement of anger in the mind. No. It's, I am mad at you. I am unhappy. I am upset. I am angry or whatever it is. So, identifying with it. It's mine. It's mine. The way they put it in Vedanta is very sublime. He says, how many minds are you going to polish and refine? What are these minds like? This is like a beam of light in the early morning. Imagine a Himalayan cottage and the monk meditating. The first beam of sunlight comes through the little window. And in that beam of light, thousands, Brownian movement, thousands of little particles of dust are floating around. Tiny, you can see the movement. All these thoughts and feelings and in all the minds are like the little particles of dust floating along in that shining ray of light. What is that shining ray of life? Light, awareness, consciousness, chidakaram, you. How many of those pieces of dust are you going to polish, turn from hell into heaven? Not necessary. Just disown them, just dissociate from them. Let them come, let them stay, let them float around, let them disappear. I'm fine. They will go away. That's the very nature of the mind. The worst of feelings and the best of feelings, whatever has arisen, will subside. Whatever. Even the worst of feelings. Even deep depression. The most abiding, sinking feeling one might have, when you fall asleep, it disappears. So every movement of the mind will subside. It's not you. If it was an integral part of us, we would come and go with those feelings. We don't come and go. The holiest of feelings, the most vilest of thoughts, they come and go. We don't come and go with them. We illumine them. We give them existence and light while they are around. And then they disappear back. Fine. You say calmly, you're welcome to come, welcome to stay. And when you go, goodbye, farewell. I am the ever shining light. So these are the 3 levels of causality. The third, the deepest level is this. What Vedanta is talking about is here, that I am the witness of these thoughts. They are not me, nor are they mine. They are no part of me, nor even are they my thoughts. They are in this mind. Even just as the world is not mine, the body is not mine, the mind is also not mine. I am the witness of this mind. As I am the witness of all minds. The consciousness in all bodies and minds illumines those my bodies and minds. I am that one consciousness in all beings. So this is the third level of causality. Then the next is analysis of what is sorrow. So this is all analysis of pain from a Vedantic perspective. Vastu drishti, what is sorrow itself? Again, 3 ways of looking at it. One way is the highest non-dual way, which is talked about here. Chidakaram idam sarvam. What is sorrow? The feeling of sorrow which had the unpleasantness. It is Brahman itself. Brahman alone. That one pure consciousness, existence consciousness place, it is being experienced right now as that miserable feeling. It's really difficult to wrap our minds around. But it is fact. Without pure consciousness, it wouldn't exist. Did we not just say flower? Flower as seeing? The seeing as nothing other than pure consciousness. Then what is that flower which you saw? Pure consciousness. What is that suffering which we are feeling right now? The flash of pain and flash of irritation? Pure consciousness, Brahman itself. If you say that's too much, I can't see the miserable and the horrible as Brahman itself. All right, take it a step down. It is, first one is Brahma Swarupa, the second one is Brahma Vivarta. It's an appearance of Brahman. Now we can bring in the dream example, we can bring in the film example, just like a nightmare. Why is a nightmare not so horrible? It's horrible while it lasts, but when we wake up and recognize it to be a nightmare, why isn't it horrible anymore? Terrible things happened there. It's no longer a big deal. Because it was nothing other than a dream, we realize. It was an appearance in me, it really didn't happen to me. Similarly, whatever appears in this limitless light of pure consciousness, it's an appearance. It's like a movie, it's like a dream. Like the Buddha said, like bubbles in a fast-flowing stream, like phantoms in the dark, like a flash of lightning, is verily everything in this world. Impermanent, all is impermanent. Transient, momentary, all is momentary. Empty, all is empty. And therefore, these are all appearances of Brahman, like a dream. You see the difference between saying it is Brahman alone and we are saying that it's an appearance in Brahman. A kind of shade of duality is introduced here. If that's also not possible, I can't dismiss this world as a dream. Then the third level of what is it? Sorrow. Prakriti Parinama. It's a transformation of material nature. A transformation of material nature. According to Sankhya, Prakriti, nature, is made of three gunas, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. And Rajas, the guna, the constituent of dynamism and activism and activity, energy, it also causes pain, pleasure and pain. Sattva actually is the source of joy, and Rajas is the source of pain. So, suffering is caused by the Rajasic element in the material nature present in the mind. I am the witness thereof. These are three ways of regarding the nature of pain, but they are graded. The highest, what is pain? Brahma Swarupa. It is Brahman alone. I rejoice. There are examples. The Vivekananda gives the example of the cobra which bit the monk. I think it was Pavari Baba. Cobra which bit the monk, and when he came to his senses again, people asked him what had happened. He said it was the messenger from the beloved. See, he's talking the same in the language of devotion. He didn't say it was a dream. No, it was real. But it's a messenger from the beloved. My Lord alone came as the cobra and bit me. Or because my Lord sent that cobra to bite me. It's perfectly all right. It's a source of delight for me from the devotional angle. That is called Brahma Swarupa. Everything in this world is Brahman. Then the second level is Brahma Vivarta, an appearance, a dream in pure consciousness. Just like a flower is arising in pure awareness, a flash of pain is arising in pure awareness. When we say a flash of pain is arising in pure awareness, it's a most accurate description of pain. That's what pain is. In any kind of experience, it's that. It's an arising in pure awareness, and I am that pure awareness. And then third level is, if we cannot deal with a dream paradigm, all right, it's real, it's out there, but it's not me, not mine. I am a witness of that. Notice these are three philosophical paradigms. This one, that I am a witness of the material nature, physical body, mind moving like this is all material nature. I am the witness of that, including pain and unpleasantness. I am the witness of that, and I am always free of it, as the witness of it. This is Sankhya Drishti. This is from the perspective of Sankhya. When we say it's a dream in pure consciousness, this is the perspective of the Jnani, the one who realizes I am Brahman. When you say it's not even a dream, it is Brahman alone. There's no division between me, the pure consciousness, and the appearance of pain. That is also pure consciousness. I alone appear in that way to myself. That is a Vijnani's, what Sri Ramakrishna used to call a Vijnani's Drishti. Everything in this world is filled full with Brahman. What is pain? It is filled full with Brahman. Nice to say Swami on a Sunday lecture, but when you actually feel the pinch of pain, Try any one of these approaches. Finally, sadhan drishti, from the perspective of practice. How are we to practice this? There are multiple practices. One is from the perspective of Vedanta, Jnana, Advaita with non-dualism, which we are talking about. Here there is a term called prajna aparadha, an offense against spiritual wisdom. What it means is this: an offense against spiritual wisdom. To even complain about pain, it's an offense. If you say, I am Brahman, I am pure consciousness, and then you say next, this hurts, this is awful, it's an offense. You are offending Vedanta. You're offending the highest wisdom of the Upanishads. If we honestly say, I am pure consciousness, we also have to say, it's fine. Swami Turiyananda, in his one reminiscence about Swami Turiyananda, he was a great Vedantin, non-dualist. In his old age in Banaras, where he passed away finally, he had many kinds of illnesses in the body and a lot of suffering. Somebody obviously asked him about it, and he said, why do you see the storms on the surface? Baire jala, the burning, the problems on the surface, why do you see that? Why do you not see inside it is all ice? He could have said all dewdrops, but he said all ice. Bhetore shab barof hoye geche. It's all ice inside. There is no suffering within. I have seen Swami Bhuteshananda ji, the 12th president of our order. He was nearly 97, 98 years old, and obviously not keeping well. So often when we would go to offer our pranams to him, he was the president of the whole order. I was a newcomer, a brahmachari. The senior monks would often ask about his welfare. Swami, how is the body today? In Bengali, aaj shorir kemon. How is the body today? And he would scold us for it. He would say, why do you people keep talking about the body? Why do you talk so much about the body? In Bengali, he would say, tumra ato shorir karo keno. Why do you talk so much about the body? So, the one thing is to say that this is prajna aparad, it's an offense against Vedanta. Or if you are a devotee, I love the Lord my God, I have surrendered, everything is, in Sri Ramakrishna used to say, Rame Richa, it's the will of Rama, it's the will of God, everything is the will of God. If it is truly, honestly, if we are saying it so much, if we are practicing it so much, again you cannot complain. It's an offense against God to complain. That's one way. Vedantic way. The other way would be the devotee's way. The devotee's way, the one who loves God. Then both sukha and dukkha, happiness and unhappiness, are the grace of God. Is Ishvara Anugraha. By the grace of God, things go well, things go badly, all of them tend to my spiritual edification, my spiritual evolution. And hence, again, I deal with pain in this way. By the Lord's will, it has come in this way. Monks, there are verses in this chapter itself, how this one who is like a full moon, how this one behaves. And strangely, sometimes enlightened people are very strange. I was reminded of one. One of the verses says, he puts himself into trouble to test. That reminded me of a monk. I didn't see him, but I heard about him. He was in our ashram in Haridwar. Now, it's a custom for visitors and devotees to give a little bit of money as a present to the monk. It's called pranami. But people were cautioned against giving any money to this monk. What he would do is the moment he got any money, he could be just going to the meditation room or just taking a walk. Anybody comes and bows down reverentially and hands over a little bit of money, he will walk straight to the railway station. Immediately starts walking. No morning, afternoon, night, whatever it is. Goes and they know in the railway counter. He'll thrust that money into the ticket. There used to be ticket counters before all this online stuff came. And they knew this monk. So it's in Haridwar. They know all kinds of weird monks. So whatever ticket, the furthest distance you can go on that money, that ticket would be advanced to him immediately. And he would wait for the train and get on that train. It would take him, he doesn't know where. And then once the train, he gets down from the train, he will make his way back to the ashram, begging for his food and staying under a tree. That was his practice. So people were alarmed and they were, don't give him any money. Because we might not see him for months or years. Who knows? He'll be gone. So And then he would test himself by coming back and entirely depending on God for a place to stay and food to eat. And so, full moon, huh? Like a full moon. That's where the term loony came from, I think. Then the third practice is the yogi's practice, sadhan drishti, that you shut it down, the pain, the physical pain, the anxiety, whatever comes up in the mind as pain, because yoga is chitta vritti nirodha, shutting down the movements of the mind. The capacity, that requires a lot of training in meditation, the capacity to shut it down, to flip a switch as it were. In the Gita also, Sri Krishna says, like a tortoise withdraws its limbs. The yogi should have that much command over the senses to be able to withdraw from the source of pain. Notice the Vedantin actually experiences the pain and sees it as the radiance of pure consciousness or whatever it is. The bhakta, devotee, lover of God, actually experiences the pain and sees it as the grace of God. The yogi does not experience the pain. It's like an anesthesia, he can shut it off and plunge into deep meditation. Like Shivananda, when that asthma was there, he was able to absorb his mind entirely within so that he didn't feel it. And strangely enough, the body also relaxed. When the conscious experience of the body, when you withdraw from it, the body also relaxes. Then the karma yogi, that is a unique perspective on sadhana of pain, the practice. The selflessness is of such a high order that one's own troubles and pains do not matter. A great selflessness comes over us. We see the divinity in all beings, and our whole life is spent in the service as a worship. Service means as a worship, as an adoration of the divine in all beings, in order to help the poor, the sick, the illiterate, the suffering, the unhappy. There is so much to be done in the world. What does it matter if I have this little bit of pain or suffering? Sometimes elder people in the family, women often, they have absorbed a lot of suffering and overlooked. It was sort of, society was like that. Nobody really cared. But the whole household responsibility was upon the woman. So, to feed and take care of, to nurse sick children, and everything takes precedence over your own physical suffering, because they depend on you. Now, that thing, if we can expand it to the world around us. So that is the perspective of the karma yogi, sadhan perspective. All right, putting it together. If you contemplate upon the world as an appearance of pure consciousness, what is sorrow? Causality. Sorrow is the threefold sorrow coming from outside, from natural causes, from other living beings, and from one's own body-mind. Deeper, causality. It is the movement of the mind in the form of sorrow. Deeper still, remember? It is the mind which can make a heaven of hell and a hell of heaven. Because of the lack of the restless mind, we have samsara. Not that my mind is restless because of samsara, the other way around. And also remember insight from positive psychology. The mind can hold on to only one thing at a time. And we have the freedom to choose what is the next thing that the mind is going to think about. And again and again and again. Then finally, the third level of causality of sorrow is owning the sorrow. This is my suffering. We do it instinctively. But if you are pure consciousness, and this is an appearing in pure consciousness, why should it be yours? It's an appearance. Then the next is vastu drishti. What is sorrow itself? Brahma Swarupa. The Vijnani sees that sorrow is nothing other than Brahman. It's pure consciousness alone which is sorrow. Or Brahma Vivarta. It's like a dream, like a movie. Or Prakriti Parinama. It's real. Real body, real world, real physical pain, but I am a witness of that. Therefore, not mine. I am the witness of that. Sadhan drishti. From the perspective of spiritual practice. This Vedanta will say prajna aparadha. It's an offense against Vedanta to even complain, grumble. I always say if you are enlightened, we lose the right to grumble, to complain. Second is devotee. It is the will of God. My beloved alone in this has given sorrow and pleasure and pain. So it's all right. Or the yogi's perspective. Yogi can divert the attention from the world into the divinity within, into the Atman within. Or from the karma yogi's perspective, a great selflessness where one's own sorrows and problems are diminished. It's often I have seen, especially here in, say, modern New York, in Manhattan, and we generate a narcissistic society. It's because of not too many problems. One might think, oh, I have so many problems. You don't know Swami. Well, you don't know. If you go to, there are third world countries, there are people in terrible suffering right here also. Our own sufferings are very little compared to that. And because of that, we tend to dwell so much on I, me, mine. And the antidote to that is a great selflessness. That here is suffering humanity in front. Whatever we can, at our own level, just the people we are with, the next person we interact with, let our feelings, our prayers, our actions all be for the welfare of others. Not for me, not for mine. I am fine. Then he says, Purnendu Shishirashaya, like the full moon, you will shine. Let us pray to Sri Ramakrishna, Ma Sharada, Swami Vivekananda, that may they bless us with this. May the full moon of knowledge shine in our hearts and take us beyond sorrow forever. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.